could have everyone's attention, we'll go ahead and get our meeting called to order. It's good to see everyone here tonight. This is the council meeting of the City of Tifton City Council, and our meeting tonight is what I call our regular council meeting. All the items that are on the agenda are items that we discussed at our workshop back at the first of the month. There are agendas on the table behind Mr. Alexander, our tax commissioner, if you'd like to follow along. And if anyone would like to speak to the council, if you have concerns or ideas or suggestions, you'll just need to sign in there. There's a sign-in sheet, and so just pass those out. Chad, you're doing a great job. Thank you. You're very talented, and I appreciate that. So we've called the meeting to order, and I have asked if Councilman Sales would lead us in our prayer and our pledge. So I'll turn it over to Frank.
Okay, let us pray. Lord, please bless our city, our state, our nation, and our world, and please guide us as we make decisions for the betterment of our community and for all of its citizens. Amen. Amen. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank. It is raining outside. Ooh, Jessica, did anybody sign in to speak? Okay. The next item on our agenda is a presentation by Chad Alexander, our Tift County Tax Commissioner. So Chad, will you take the floor?
Thank you for having me. I just want to come and tell you what happened on the tax sales we had. I come earlier about a year ago. It takes a while, but we had those 4 mobile homes. We had 4 properties that we had the demo liens on, and I asked the city to remove them so we could get them sold and do what we could. We sold them. Just a quick overtake. There was 4 pieces of property. 2 of them we collected all taxes, which was far more than what we expected. On 1 of them, we got all but $84 total in taxes, which was real good. And the other one was still owing about $1,700, which was where I thought all 4 of them would be. We actually collected a little bit of money on the city's demos fee that you will be getting a check for also, because it went above taxes owed, so you'll get some of your demo fees back.
Good.
So the tax sale went real good. I was very shocked. Everybody was.
Sometimes a plan comes together, doesn't it?
Yeah, I loved it. And real quick, let me put my glasses on for this. Just to give you a quick update on where we're at on our property tax, where all your revenue, majority of your revenue comes. Right now, for 2016 taxes, that's not this 2 years ago, we're at 99.36. We owe you about another $20,000. That's it. And that tax sale will that'll be in August if they're not paid by then. So they'll be paid in full. So we're at 99.36 for 16, and last year 17's we're at 96.39. We owe you about another $95,000, which is pretty good. But that's just a quick update. I talked to the mayor, and I told her what I did for the county and give them an update. I want to come give y'all the opportunity to have an update also.
Which we appreciate very much.
So if you got any other questions or whatever, that's all I got.
All right. Any comments, questions for Chad?
That's great.
Well, I think it's a good relationship to partner with you in those tax collections, and again with the liens that were removed, so you can proceed with the sale. Like I said, it's good when a project comes together and
That was
has a
real
good
good.
return.
And if you have any more demos, let me know before we start on, see
Okay.
where we at. But that
Sure.
was a real good, that worked out a lot better than what I'd ever anticipated.
Right.
Any of us had.
Good.
So I was shocked.
Good. Well, that was a pleasant surprise then.
Yes.
and as for us.
Well, call if you need me.
Okay, thank you very much, Chad.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Okay, thank you so much. All right, we have no public input. At this point, I'll take an approval of the agenda, or if there are any changes to be made, we'll take that as well.
I move to approve it as is.
Okay, second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And our next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 19th regular meeting and then the March 5th workshop. And those are in our packet.
So moved.
All right, may I have a motion, second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item, under new business, is the approval of the priority project plan for water, sewer, and stormwater improvements as prepared by ESG. Those were all presented to us at the workshop and discussed. If there's any other questions that you have or any further discussion that needs to take place. Pete,
Mayor,
you have
Council,
anything?
you asked for a timeline for each of those, and we did our best to kind of give a snapshot of prices and what month it's going to happen, and we're going to use this as our tool moving forward, so.
Okay.
That's an excellent snapshot. I mean, perfect.
What?
No, that's great. It reads, it's easy.
I know, that's why I was so surprised, but it's very precise and it's very helpful.
It was wonderful.
Good, all right. All right, so if everyone is satisfied with that and with the timeline that's been presented, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, excellent. The next item under new business is approval of the budget allocation for the Commerce Way parking lot and sidewalk project. And that was also discussed at the workshop in depth. Was there anything else we needed to add to that?
It's not, it's just an allocation. We'll be using SPOS money, which is available, probably SPOS 4. We have road work money to do, $67,608 for just Commerce Way. And Jeff already has this earmarked with a contractor, part of our overall project plan to improve this, and along with some other minor concrete work that we have here in the city.
All right. I know there were some questions at the workshop regarding some of those parking spaces. Was everybody okay with that? Did everybody get what they needed on that? Okay, excellent. All right. If there's no further question about that project, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thank you. The next item under resolutions is a resolution for the enterprise zone incentive for Tifton Magnolia Properties located at 101 South Tift Avenue.
I move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving those incentives for that project, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I do have a question. Rob, I don't know if I can ask, I mean, if I have a working relationship with this particular, not this problem, my bank does, do I need to recuse myself from voting?
I don't think that
I'm not.
I don't think either you or your family have a personal financial interest in any of the projects, is that right?
That's
So
correct.
I don't think you need to recuse yourself.
Did y'all already vote? I'm sorry, did y'all already say
Well,
that?
I called for the vote and 3 of us have voted and you had a question.
Well,
But we can redo. I can go back and call for the vote, or you can recuse yourself, or you can,
I'll just recuse myself since, I'll just.
since you're uncomfortable with that.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Oh, no,
Okay.
We've
no,
already the point.
because it wasn't.
Okay.
No, no, sorry about
That's
that.
just in
So,
this afternoon.
So we have one that
But
has
it's in our
recused and the rest of us have approved that. You got that, Jessica? You good on that?
No.
Wes has recused himself.
Okay.
Yeah, I recuse.
Yeah, he just recused himself.
This resolution on the
Okay.
EOC settlement.
The next item under resolution is the resolution amending section 1.7 of the personnel policies and procedures, and we did discuss that. Did you have anything to add?
Well,
on that?
we did it, Mayor and Council. 5 and 6 are 2 last-minute admin additions to the agenda. And
Okay.
if you remember, the 1.7 was what we talked about a few weeks back.
Mhm.
We did get certification back from the state about the EOC
Mhm.
business. You approved that accordingly. So now what they're asking for is immediately for us to turn this around. You vote on the actual language of the change of personnel policy, and we've got to get that out to the state office this week. So.
Okay.
Basically, that's in conjunction with the resolution approving the EEOC settlement that you should have also,
Right.
Mhm.
that has as the exhibit the settlement agreement.
Right, okay. All right, and that is in our packet.
So So you'll be
around
taking up
page
both of those resolutions, both to amend the policies as well as to make the settlement with the EEOC.
Okay, everybody's got that.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Also under resolution is the resolution releasing the City of Nashville's certificate of deposits for the natural gas system. You want to talk about that, Pete?
Mayor and Council, back, I believe in 2011, the City of Tifton and Nashville had a agreement whereby we extended our pipeline to Nashville to connect with their infrastructure. And of course, we've been selling them natural gas since that time. I believe in ballpark, the original debt was about $350,000. As part of those agreements, the City of Nashville agreed to pledge, certain CDs to secure that loan. In fact, we are co-owners on 4 CDs currently being held by the Bank of Arapahoe. According to the payment agreement, we also agreed that as that money got paid down, that we would release those funds from our security. I think the current balance owed is about $155,000, maybe a little bit less. So the City of Nashville has requested that pursuant to the agreement that we release some of those funds. Both Pete and the city manager for Nashville has talked. They've agreed to release 2 of these CDs. I think they total $195,000, which I believe leaves about another $185,000 to secure the indebtedness. So this resolution is basically authorizing the Bank of Arapahoe to release those funds, to convey them over to the City of Nashville.
City of Nashville, okay. All right, any questions on that? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Folk. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Councilman Sales. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're down to other business, and that includes our budget report. Is that going to be Wayne? Okay.
Madam Mayor and gentlemen, before I give you the monthly budget report, the first page is the general fund. It shows year-to-date we've collected revenues of $8.7 million, which is approximately 65% of the revenue that was budgeted for the year. Through 8 months, you're looking at 68% or 67% is what it should roughly be at. So revenue is just a hair under, but that's okay at this point in time. Looking through our expenditures, most every department is under budget, except for a couple down in the Public Works area, but overall, Public Works is right at 68%, which is right there where it should be. There is 1 or 2 things in here that I have noted, the fact that there was something that's been coded to a department that it's not in the general fund, so we're gonna get that corrected and fix that in the future, so it won't be there in the future, it'll be in the right spot. So right now, total expenditures are at $8.4 million, and that's at 63% overall in the general fund for the 8 months. And right now, revenues are more than expenditures by $320,000. On the next page is our hotel motel tax fund. Year to date, through February 28th, collected $701,000. Right now, it was what's been spent out. It's been $429,950. So right now, revenues over expenditures are at $271,000. The water fund, which goes through February, we're showing revenues through that point in time of $2.2 million, and our expenditures at this point in time are at $1.78 million, which shows revenue expenditures $462,000. Several of the things are right there at 67, 68, 69% mark, which I'm not too worried about in that for the department for the year. And we'll continue to watch this fund for the rest of the year. The next page is our sewer fund. Revenues right now are at $2.36 million, compared to our expenditures of 2.589 million. And right now, the sewer fund is at has revenues under expenditures of 222,000. I looked into a couple of line items there, and a lot of it's some one-time charges that have hit in the sewer fund. And also, I need to look at their telephone, which seems to be high when I looked at the line item there. So I'll take a look at that and make sure there's nothing been miscoded there. But hopefully that thing will change and flip back once the year gets out. The next page is our gas fund. Through February, we had $3,078,000 in revenue, and that's actually 74% of what we had budgeted for the year. So this cold we had this winter has been very beneficial to us. Expenditures through February has been 2.5 million, and so right now revenues are over expenditures of 559,000 for the gas fund. So the gas fund is in good shape right now. The last page is our solid waste collection and disposal fund. Revenues through February have been just over 2 million. Our expenditures have been 1.7 million. So our revenues over expenditures at 297,000. A couple of line items. I noted that the landfill was at 73% expenditures for the year. When I looked down into that, there's been mainly done, but what's pushing that is four line items: workers' comp insurance for the year, composting, which relates back to the bad storm back in the fall. It has it over budget for the year. Repairs and maintenance, which should be one-time things of the stuff they needed to think, and also capital outlay for vertical expansion has already been paid for the year. So those things have pushed that department over budget at this point in time, but they shouldn't be an ongoing thing. So I'm not too much worried on this one, since we should not have the composting issue as we had if we don't have any more storms.
So why would workers' comp be out of line with?
I'm going to dig down at that one because this is the only department I've seen that's had that issue, so I got to look into that one farther.
would
that
make
one.
sense.
Has all the reimbursements from FEMA
It's not actually. I was going to report that in Public Works, you've seen the little overages. In the inert, we're seeing overages, and that was directly from the hurricane. Becky has helped complete those forms with FEMA, and we've been checked off and certified that all our reimbursements are in check. So we are qualified for reimbursement, and we should hopefully be seeing some return of funds. I would say upwards of almost $300,000 returned to the city.
Good.
Why is the administration expenditure for solid waste so low?
The only thing there is there's like one person in that department, so you don't have it's where the manager of that whole solid waste fund is. So you only have him in that one. So there's not a bunch of operating expenses there. It's mainly one person.
So why was so much put in the budget for that position then?
I don't think that's right, Wayne.
And I'll have to go back and look on that
I think
farther.
there's a typo there.
It's a typo?
I think so. It can't be.
Is it supposed to be 137? Just 37, is that what you're talking about? 4510?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll go back and look, Mr.
Budget.
Frank, and I'll let you know on that one.
Thank you.
On the general fund, fines and forfeitures, they're down like 25% from where we would have expected at this point. Do we know what's driving that?
Generally, we're behind. You get those collections are behind, but other than that, what I've seen, what I've heard is because they haven't collected as much at this point in time. So that's something we need to. We'll be talking with the chief about that also.
Okay. Public Works is up 15% from where it ought to be. Is that, what's driving that?
A lot of that, when I looked in there, most of that's coming off of the old Public Works accounts, the ones not ESG related, and it's stuff like landfill charges is one of the things that's causing that one particular line department to be up and over. Also, electricity charges, which I gotta look in farther because it was way out of what I expected it to be, so I gotta get with Karen on that. Also, repair and maintenance on supplies, which more likely relate back also to the storm or has pushed that over.
It's all storm related.
So it's stuff that's gonna be, we hopefully should get reimbursed back for back with the storm.
Okay. Sewer fund, expenditures aren't the issue, it's a revenue issue.
Yes, sir.
Expenditures are where they ought to be. Why is the revenue, is there anything in particular that's driving that revenue?
Well, you got two different things there. You got the base fee and you also got the usage fee out there, so we'd have to go and drill down to see what's really compare what's been done from this year to last year on how much on the sewer side. But I can look into that for you.
Jessica, can you get those down in the minutes so that it doesn't slip away? That, I mean, I know you're making notes too, but just wanna make sure that we get that back so that those questions are answered. It's easy to get, move on to the next issue and we forget about it.
Okay.
Those all your questions? Frank, do you have any questions, any other questions? Wes, you good?
Yeah, it's a lot to look at one
It
time.
is,
and
yeah,
try to-
and we'll probably have questions.
If y'all
as
have
we
any
come
questions,
to
just
you.
feel free to call me and I'll get y'all the answers as
Okay.
quickly as I can.
Thank you very much. This
You're
is good to have this information periodically, so
Yeah.
thank you for that.
If you could shoot it to me ahead of time, then I might get the answers or even have more questions.
Don't
Your-
shoot it to him.
Your guess as to which one that would be.
All right, thank you, Wayne, we appreciate that. Pete, you got the city manager report?
It's been just a couple things. I told you about Becky and the FEMA, and her single-handedly finishing that for us. Very, very heavily administrative, and working along with FEMA representatives, very detailed, and going through a FEMA exercise is not an easy task. So she really did a great job with that, and she also filled in at environmental management for the last 3 weeks. And in our staff meeting this morning, I wanted to let you know that we presented her with a certificate of appreciation,
Well,
just to show, that from a staff and from a management side, she really did some great work over the
Good.
last month and helped in certain areas. So if you see her, just acknowledge that. But
Okay.
both on FEMA and then filling in other areas, she really did a great job with that. The Supreme Court with service delivery, Rob and I talked about that some, and this is with City of Union Point versus Greene County, and there's two cases that we're looking at, one being L.J. and then the other being Greene County, and one's for emergency, which the Supreme Court ruled this past week about that they're reversing the order and sending it back to the trial court. This is for emergency calls, and what we're waiting on is if it's gonna change anything for non-emergency calls with L.J. So we're standing by for that. We don't have any more details to share right now, but we're all watching that close, but we don't have anything to go on just yet.
Okay.
Wanted to share that with you. And then lastly, there's, this is the only, last week of legislative days remaining in the session. Not really too much coming out of the dome. There's some action on a right-of-way preemptive bill, Senate Bill 426 by Steve Gooch, and I think you've sent some things out. This is about small cells and new poles on right-of-ways. Obviously, GMA is opposed to this. We'll be watching this very closely. A lot of stuff is stuck on the floor and in Senate and the House rules, and there has been a couple sent to the governor for signature so far, but it really doesn't reach down into us. There is one sales tax accountability by Senator Lee Anderson, and this is about local governments requesting information included on the vendor sales tax certificate for vendors. So really nothing coming out of the way at this particular point, unless they have a great productive week that's going to impact us in certain areas. But that's all we have to report as of now. So I don't know if there's any other any productivity going to be in the last week here. So we'll watch that close.
Okay.
A quick question on that, the Supreme Court decision, Georgia Supreme Court decision. What was mentioned, it was something mentioned about the Turner County, City of Ashburn case. Was that also was that reversed?
Basically, what they were trying to say was that the statute on service delivery was unconstitutional, as basically violating separation of powers.
Right.
And the Turner County case that basically held the law statute unconstitutional was the basis for, was that basis that they held unconstitutional, saying that you cannot give to a retired judge the authority to make a judicial ruling that violated the judiciary. They did not hold the SDS statute unconstitutional because they said that you didn't have that separation of, I mean, you had the separation of powers. You were not delegating a judicial function to a quasi-legislative body. The remedies that are within the service delivery, statute are well defined, and a judge who is ruling on those issues only has those remedies. And so they said because they're tied to those remedies, you're not getting into this problem with the separation of powers, which was the issue in lost statute and the unconstitutionality ruling by the Supreme Court in that Turner County case.
I guess GMA sounded like it was promoting something that totally opposite of what you just said. I was thinking it was actually saying that they found that actually a judge could, that, there was no law, like the lost negotiations that was approved by the Georgia the Georgia legislature, that the legislator would intentionally pass a law that was, I guess, unconstitutional. I don't know, it was 17 pages worth of lawyer talk, so I mean, I could get very confused very quickly, but anyway.
Well, I think the bottom line with the Greene County decision was that they held it was not unconstitutional as they had held in Turner County because it did not violate the separation of powers between legislative and judiciary.
Can you explain that now back?
No, that's why I'm saying I'm glad. That's why I said, did it read? And when I forwarded it to you guys, that's why I was saying, does it read how I think it reads? Because clearly it does not.
Well, I read what you sent out and it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and what you just said didn't make a whole lot of sense, unfortunately. So I'm thoroughly confused.
I was gonna say
Thank
it's
you both.
17 pages of lawyer jargon.
So was that good or bad for municipalities
That's
from
what
that
I was
standpoint?
saying. It didn't. Yeah.
I think as far as holding the statute constitutional, that's a good thing. Because the service delivery statute basically gives you a pathway to a resolution of your service delivery issues.
Right.
I think it was a very bad decision when they ruled in Turner County that statute was unconstitutional. Because as some of this council is well aware, that basically deteriorated all negotiations, and we had to make a quick agreement with the county in order to get what we needed to up to for our loss,
Right.
and save our loss. But and right now we're heading towards another lost negotiation in a few years.
And just for those of you
Hopefully
listening to this riveting conversation, lost is local option sales tax. So,
Hopefully the courts or the legislature will get all that straightened out before we get back to that issue.
okay, hopefully. One can hope.
Never touch that idea.
Okay. Yes, exactly. All right, any other items of business to come before the council? I do believe that we do need to go into executive session for legal matters.
That's right.
So if I can have a motion to that effect, if there's no other business.
I move we go into executive session for legal.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Frank would not make that motion.
All right, we'll take a quick break and